So let's now talk about E3 and Abe. Let's throw that one straight over there. You were at the event for us. You were reporting back. Done a fantastic job in um, doing loads of stories for us, loads of videos, loads of interviews. You're absolutely exhausted. How was E3 for you?
I'm exhausted. Um, Basically, it was. I think this was probably one of my favorite E3s I've ever experienced in my life. I guess the whole JV interview had a lot to do with it too, because I mean, just his energy alone, like. But yeah, anyways, E3 in general was awesome. It was definitely very overwhelming. It was very exhausting because I was trying to. I mean, I had three different cameras. I was taking pictures, taking video. I had the GoPro trying to do a whole booth tour thing. Then I tried to live tweet with Periscope,
Yeah,
which I guess unfortunately was a little pixelated for a lot of people. But I guess I figured it out later on that the Wi-Fi in there for media access kind of was not working for a lot of media, which made a lot of people pissed off. But
yeah.
anyways, some
I will admit that was a great Periscope video. I was on there live watching it. It just happened to be just purely by chance that picked up my phone just as you started it. So I watched your entire tour and your interviews, with Sully and a load. It was great to be able to feel like you were part of it by watching it, someone live and interacting. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, so I mean, I tried to replicate it a little bit with the GoPro. I mean, I didn't have that many guests talking to me there afterwards, but still, I mean, I just try to do as much as I can for everybody there. The booth was beautiful this year. I mean, compared to the past couple times, it's getting bigger every year. But this year, the figure line was long. I mean, Sabine was definitely a 4.5 hour trek. Um, but definitely worth it. They have this cool interactive experience where it puts you immersed into a video. You pick whichever character you wanted to. I picked Darth Vader, of course. That was like a no-brainer. And they take your picture. You swing a lightsaber around at a green screen, and they put you in a video, and they send you the video and the picture online. Then they give you the figure. So it was kind of cool. The art exhibit was phenomenal. Britt did a great job coordinating that whole thing. They had a total of 6,000 power discs strung up and displayed in this awesome little wall. I was talking to Tyler about it, and he said that it took the lady who was in charge of making that. It took her about 4 days straight to open up all those power disc packs. So it was a huge labor of love, and then just to be able to see the prototype figures there, because nobody gets to see those in exhibit, and for us to finally get to see them, it was pretty phenomenal. One of them that I really loved was one of those 3D printed ones that they have, which is Rapunzel, because you can still see some of that plastic. No, but it was overall cool. I mean, the actual playing stations were awesome. The press area was private. It was big. Then they had this hall connected to it that had five screen grabs of like 5 popular playsets, and then 5 little profile pictures of all the Toy Box mentors that were hired into the company. I mean, there was just so much to that booth. It was pretty impressive. And then overall, the whole event, it was great. I got to see a demonstration of Lego Dimensions. No giveaways, which was interesting. But they usually a lot of people take advantage of the swag. But the Lego Dimensions looks promising. To me, after the demo, I mean, some people were excited. I was a little confused, and I also see it's going to be a lot of work. I'm the type of guy that likes to set my figure on the base, sit back, and play. Lego Dimensions is going to require you to move your figures all over the place and make sure that you coordinate which figure goes in what spot to work. So I don't know. I'm still skeptical. I was kind of impressed a little bit. I was talking it down, but Skylanders is definitely a better contender this year, as in my opinion, than Trap Team. The cool thing about these new vehicles is the cars actually do roll like actual toys, so that was a cool little aspect to them. The amiibo
Yeah.
in integration with both Bowser and Donkey Kong. It's both interesting and also kind of smart at the same time, because not only will you have two different types of gameplay because you have Skylanders and Amiibo, but you also have
To buy
a
2 starter
strategic.
packs.
Yeah, exactly. It's a smart strategic move. You have Bowser exclusive to the 3DS, and then you have Donkey Kong exclusive to the Wii U. So for all those diehard Amiibo fans, you're gonna have to buy 2 starter packs. But overall,
Such a
it was.
cash grab. Oh my god.
Oh, definitely, definitely. But the technology in that figure is impressive, though, because all you do is twist the bottom, and it becomes a Skylander, and twist it right back, it becomes an Amiibo. So it's kind of cool. Then
That's the cool thing, because at least like this year, I mean, already now you've seen the 4 different Toys to Life categories, and you've been able to play them and compare them, and sort of, I think that's what there was a lot of Toys to Life stuff at E3, wasn't there?
yeah, the Amiibos, they had a lot of new ones on display. I did get to play. I chose to play one of them because the demos were ridiculously long. Like the game demo that I lined up for was 15 minutes long per person, so it's like I'm sitting there for a while. But I played the Yoshi one, the one that moves that are yarn, and that game's fun. But it plays just like any Yoshi game. To be honest with you, I honestly still, even though this artificial shortage that Nintendo has with Amiibos are making it popular, I still feel like they're the most useless Toys to Life figures there are out there. So regardless of Skylanders and Amiibo teaming up, they're going to have more use as Skylanders than they are going to have use as Amiibos. So at least they did those 2 characters justice in a way.
I think you can use some of them in the new Mario Maker game, but generally, I think the general reaction to Nintendo's E3 presence has been a bit sort of reading through lots of different articles over the last few days. It's been a very hit and miss. Some people liking what they've done. They kind of opted, but they opted out, and it kind of sent off all wrong signals. And because basically Sony and Microsoft went in all for leather and just literally bombarded it.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Maker looks promising. Don't get me wrong; it looks cool, but again, it still plays safe to me. The new Star Fox looks impressive, but it's nothing new that we haven't seen. To be honest with you,
it's all very retro and safe.
Yeah. If anything, I wanted to see something from Nintendo next, but there was really nothing at all. And Splatoon just came out, which I understand, but. I still would have appreciated seeing something to do with Splatoon there, and all you saw was just the old Amiibo just standing there. So
as far as Infinity, what did you get to play?
Everything. I tried to play everything. I think the Rise Against playset I didn't get to play, but I got to watch a lot of gameplay, which was cool. Mostly Boba Fett. But I wanted to try most of the Toy Box stuff, like for example Speedway, which I am in love with. I got to race on the Sugar Rush track and the Nightmare Before Christmas track, and it's no joke. It's cool. It's just like they said in the Game Informer. Like every lap, something new is happening, something else. Like there's a story being told while you race, which is kind of cool. I also, by accident, which I got lucky, got to see the Monsters Inc. racetrack, and this was the one that Sumo fought for to keep in the game. And just the animation, the graphics is just phenomenal. The racing is tighter. The weapon system is great. The new weapons in there. I mean, I got to experience almost everything, like my car being turned into Mickey's Jalopy, or being hit by one of their version of the blue shell, and like for Mario Kart. So it was fun.
Racing is really improved. And
oh yeah, and that's not even just in that expansion game. In the Toy Box, if you put a track down, you can feel the difference in the racing. It's phenomenal.
I'm really excited about it because I love the racing element of Its Infinity.
Right. I got to play the Villains Takeover, or the Toy Box Takeover, since they changed names. And it's cool. It's definitely it's a little familiar from obviously the previous Toy Box game disc, but it's definitely cleaner, definitely better. You have boss battles. Like I got to play the first level, and it was more like a pirates level type of thing. and the first boss was Davy Jones. And one thing that you did notice is that the boss is relatively larger. So if you were playing with the actual Davy Jones, you can totally see the difference between the two.
Yeah.
So it was more so like an artificial larger boss. So, but it's fun. You definitely have a lot more integration. And with your sidekick, your sidekick has more integration to the game. Like he has a lot more to do, like become a cannonball for yourself and blow through walls, or assist you with killing villains and whatnot. But the cool thing that I got to experience as well, which kind of ties into that a little bit, is farming in the hub. I wanted to see the El Capitan Theater and the Flynn Theater. The Flynn Arcade, and but mostly I wanted to see the farming, and I got a little tutorial. It was pretty interesting. Just the amount of crops that they have. It's a cool little aspect. It's going to keep you wanting to come back into the game and making sure that you get rid of the weeds, and you prepped your sidekicks for growing crops, and you give them certain hats, give them special abilities, and you feed them, making them happy. You can't cheat and like overfeed. I mean, you can only feed them when they're hungry. So it's a cool new aspect in the game, and I'm kind of excited for it.
Kind of appeals more to, like, I'd definitely say that kind of sounds more like mobile gaming. I know, like with like Star Wars Commander, where you have to keep going back in all the time. It keeps drawing you back in. Do you think it's kind of got that aspect to it?
Sort of. I think the only difference to that is like I kind of feel like I really want to, though, because I want my sidekick to be better.
Yeah.
Because this does affect their attributes, their skills, and their fighting in the game, so that it kind of does give them purpose. So if you're saying is it Farmville, I can see how it can be Farmville, but then again, it's kind of unfair because you grow crops in Farmville, so that's why it's the same here. But no, it's definitely better. It's cool. I mean, the animation. I mean, just when you feed one of your sidekicks, it's kind of funny how they eat. I mean, there's just a lot of cool things with farming. But what else did I play? I mean, I just
you played the 2 playsets.
I played obviously I played the Inside Out one already. I played a little bit of Twilight. I didn't, like I said, I didn't play Rise. And Twilight's cool. The combat system is phenomenal. It took me a second to get used to waiting for the lightsaber to flash a little bit, because like the combo system now, it's like it's not just button smashing. It's like button, and then like stopping, waiting for it, and hitting it. So it's like timed. And the combos are different. The combos are always different. It's really cool. Each character has something unique to offer. Like who was I playing originally? I think it was Kanan first, because I wanted to see if I can do that combo where you throw him up and then he blasts them. I still need to get used to it, so I wasn't able to do it. But still, I mean, their ability and their way of integrating special moves and attacks for each character is kind of phenomenal. Like a lot of people thought like this is all going to be the same because everybody swings lightsabers, but no, it's by far pretty unique to each one. So.
Okay, anything else from that E3 event? I mean, you got to speak to John Bernacchi. How did that interview go for you? And you can find that on the YouTube channel as well. Maybe a link.
Man, what a privilege. I mean, it took forever I definitely had a set time, and it just didn't work out. And luckily, the PR guys there are awesome. I mean, I give mad props to Brian for making it happen. And basically, what ended up happening was it was supposed to be JV and John Blackburn talking to a bunch of media outlets, and he was able to split them. And it was just JV in this room with me and pushing back the Wall Street Journal a little bit just so he can talk to us. And no, I mean, you guys got to see in that video that he cares about the community, and that's what it's all about to him. So.
And you got a bro hug.
Yeah, and I got my bro hug. And my Darth Maul.
JV bro hugs are the greatest.
Yeah, you can see how happy he was. I mean, it's just a cool guy. No, the interview was phenomenal, as you guys can tell. I mean, obviously I was a little nervous at first, but it was more so just like thankful because I wanted to get this interview, and I did. And
I mean, I was gonna say, just watching the interview back, it was quite. it was quite interesting because it was so much more laid back, and just I think because of we're not we know about, and our audience primarily knows a lot of the basics of being able to talk about some of the things that they've asked and stuff. Just seemed it was just a very interesting interview because it did seem a lot more laid back than some of the other ones I've seen from E3.
I think he was able to relax with us because he knew we weren't going to ask him those badgering questions that the media, the snobs, ask. Like they know these were questions being asked by true fans, by actual people who are interested in him as opposed to in what he does and in this game, and I think it spoke a lot through his body language and obviously the way that the interview went. So
you didn't do your evil journalist approach.
Oh no! I even had a question I was going to ask him, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I was going to ask him, out of all the figures that weren't announced, which one was his favorite. Dude, but I didn't do that, obviously. But no, overall, like just the experience was phenomenal. Like I said, it was such a privilege to get to talk to him. So.
But also, I mean, this is just feeding back off that because, like now, we're watching things like Toy Box TV Live, and the crew are all, the guys are all coming in and off, and they're talking and stuff. And so now, when you're talking about like Tyler and Emily and Sully and all these other characters, Allison, all these other characters, it's not just like I said, Davey and Allison like it's been in the previous years. They've now got all these other sort of people that we see on these Toy Box TV Live. So when you got to interview them stuff, we know them all a little bit more now because of Toy Box TV Live.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like I literally must have had I spoke to Allison for what, like more than 30 minutes. I spoke to Tyler for probably another half hour. I mean, I spoke to Scott. Scott was the one that gave me the private media tour. Like, I mean, it's like these people that are just part of the community. You put a face to them, and you just, I don't know, they appreciate us. So I figured, might as well just keep the same respect in.
Right.
But yeah, E3.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I was following loads of live streams, living through you, through every other website. I've read so much and watched so many videos and live streams. So I'm going to throw this one over to Travis. What were your impressions of E3 in general, of what you saw from your end?
Well, before I get into my impressions, I do want to piggyback off of the characters that we're learning through Toy Box TV Live. The first person I met for Disney Infinity, before even JV back in 2013, was what we now know as Brit. Brittany was manning this little tiny, I think it was 7 or 8 console testing station out in the middle of a field in Chicago on a hot summer day, and that's where I also met JV for the first time. But it was just, it's great knowing that people like that are still with the company after all these years, and props to her for putting together that amazing looking booth. I've seen pictures, and it's just to go from what I saw in 2012, at that Taste of Chicago event where it was just a thrown together event, and then something like that it takes 8 months for them to complete is amazing. I got a lot of hit or miss stuff with some of these companies. Feedback with Amiibo and with Lego Dimensions. Abe said that it just was it was there, but maybe lackluster. It wasn't as prominent. But I heard very little negative stuff regarding Disney Infinity. Maybe the most was that it was too crowded over there, but that's what you have to
Well, it was the most
expect.
busy.
I mean,
Well, it was the most busiest E3 of all time. I think there was something like 50, 60,000 people there because they opened it up to all these social. I think each game could bring in hundreds of people. You multiply that by all the games, and just in general, gaming is big business. So there's a lot more people into it. So yeah, so that was one thing. But yeah, it was one of the most popular. Was the most populated E3 show they've ever done.
Yeah, and I mean, props to Disney Infinity for bringing in the influencers. I talked to a couple of them after the event. They had an amazing time. Each of them got a Rise of the Republic playset at their special gift. They had a special meetup. So that was pretty cool. I also heard that I guess Kanye West was in the booth. I'm not saying that I'm a big fan of Kanye, but that just speaks to the level of people.
Superman was there as well.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Or now Atom.
Right, or someone said Superman. But it just I heard nothing but, I mean, aside from the few random weird comments, most of it was just positive from the booth. A lot of great experiences, both from the staff and from the guests that were there. It's promising. I'm excited for what they will show at San Diego. I know Abe and I are going to have a blast at D23, and we don't even know half of what they're going to have at D23. JV just said it's something big. And being that D23 is the middle of August, and rumor has it that the game is coming out somewhere around that time frame. I mean, without actually saying the date, we have to timestamp it to around that area. I'm just excited on what's to come. 3.0 is so much more than what I was expecting. It's so much different than what 2.0 was and what 1.0 was. So they just keep on wowing me, in my opinion. So
I mean, looking at I think also this year, I mean, in terms of E3, there wasn't a lot of announcements at the event, other than Boba Fett and the Saga starter set. There wasn't any major announcements, so that was a bit of a surprise. But in some ways, it wasn't, because in the weeks running up to E3, they were hitting out press release, Rebels, Twilight, Inside Out. They were sending out all the information ahead, all their pre-events. So before E3, we knew a lot of it. So a lot of it was a case of getting hands-on for people, getting to see gameplay footage, getting to find out a little bit more. Because now they can kind of move on from those initial announcements. There wasn't as many new things announced that I thought there might have been. I thought there might have been, but at the same time, I've been following so many different websites for E3 news that I can see why they do that, because there is just, if you put out a press release or a story, you will get buried on these sort of gaming websites, because there is that much information coming out. I mean, Kingdom Hearts, it come out, but within a day, you wouldn't even seen anything on a lot of the websites, because there was that much information coming out about it. And so it made a lot of sense to me looking at it, of why they did all that pre-E3 push.
Well, also, I think it also plays into the fact that last year there was a big debacle because they unfortunately gave out materials that leaked characters, and Abe can attest that any character on that packaging that they gave out this time around has been officially announced. So I think that's part of it.
Let me double check.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Well, you showed it. I quickly glanced when you showed me Darth Maul's back packaging and made sure everything was announced, but Boba Fett was the last thing on that back packaging that had to be announced.
Yeah, that's right there.
Now, we still don't know release dates for a lot of those. We know that Boba Fett's coming out in 2016, but again, I think they strategically threw out a bunch of information at us before E3, so they didn't have that, oh crap, we just previewed the Guardians of the Galaxy characters by giving out power disc packs, which is what they happened last year.
Last year they tried a different approach of that, kind of trying to spread out those character announcements and everything, and this year they kind of definitely went with a different approach of just trying to get as much out as everything, like launched kind of, the initial. I'm gonna be saying, I'm feeling that it's gonna be like the Disney Wave 1 and the Star Wars Wave 1 and 2 kind of thing, because I think there's gonna be waves this year, because we still got lots to know about, but I think I'm looking at it like, well, last year we only had 3 play sets. Well, we already know the 3 play sets. We've seen them, we've played them, they're out there, and then we've got more to come on top. So I think that's why there's so much more excitement this year. So Abe, anything else that your sort of overall impressions of the show? How does it,
Yeah.
yeah. You were able to sort of play like Battlefronts. How does that compare?
That's dude, get out of my head. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was gonna say Battlefront, like no joke. Aside from Disney Infinity 3.0, Battlefront like best in show, no joke. They had two demos. One was a two-player co-op, and the other demo was a 20 on 20 battle. So it was 40 people fighting against each other. I did not do the 20 versus 20 because the line was ridiculous, but the two-person co-op, there was a short line inside the Sony station, inside E3, and then they also had a pop-up station outside of E3 with no wait, so I got to play a few times because, of course, who wasn't? And, wow. Yeah. It was fun. I got to play with one of our members on the Facebook group, and him and I we teamed up on the first round, and there's basically 6 waves of enemies coming at you, and you're talking about from regular stormtroopers to shock troopers to ATSTs, and the gameplay is phenomenal. The weapons, the jetpacks, the shield. I mean, everything was responsive very well. You get bonuses for headshots. I mean, the realism of your weapon would overheat. You got to make sure you use it perfectly, strategically. And they hit a home run with this game. It's a lot of fun. I couldn't get enough of it. I immediately reserved it when I got home.
You didn't have it reserved yet?
No, only reason why I didn't reserve it was I wanted to wait and see if they had one of those like collector's editions with like a statue or something like that. But once I played it, I'm like, screw this, I gotta reserve it.
Please tell me you reserved it at GameStop.
Yes, GameStop, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, no, it's ridiculous not to reserve it at GameStop because you get the early access and special stuff.
No. Yeah, from Star Wars Celebration, that I know. I needed to reserve it as soon as possible for that alone, but I wanted to wait just in case there was a special edition or something, and I think the only thing that's out is just the deluxe edition that comes with extra DLC, like a Han's blaster and some other stuff.
But also, I was going to say, with now that they've got like 2 Star Wars games coming out for 2 completely different audiences this year. We've got the Infinity side and Battlefront. They're very, very different. And even this was with the PlayStation conference. There were so completely different sides of the sort of spectrum in terms of gaming. Trying to compare them isn't necessarily a fair thing, but they do look very, very different.
Well, it's kind of like the new logo that says "The Force is strong with PlayStation," because it's true. I mean, they definitely have a lot of exclusives and specifically Star Wars, and I'm telling you, Battlefront looks just night and day compared to any Battlefront I've ever played. A lot of fun, and definitely something to have before the next movie comes out. Yeah. So.
No, that's cool. So I think it's just one of the things that we were just kind of trying to wrap up the E3 event, really, is just in general. I think it felt like there was lots and lots of information coming out, lots of things, and looking at, I think as well with the Disney Infinity booth, with having the fans having that huge booth. Because I mean, some of the other games, I think was it like Lego Avengers hardly had any space at all. Because they're just sharing the Warner Brothers stage, is that right?
Yeah, it was a small little stage, and I got to play that too. It's fun. It definitely has a new combat modes where like you have like 3 different Avengers with you at the same time, and you can perform combat combos. Like you can throw Black Widow around as Captain America, or Hawkeye will shoot the arrows off the shield. It's interesting. So it's cool, but yeah, it did have a little small cramped spot. And Warner Brothers, actually, the Warner Brothers games had more room for the Mad Max game, if anything. They were sharing. It was Lego Dimensions Theater, then Mad Max Theater, and then they had the little Avengers in a little corner in the back. So it was kind of interesting, but. No, that game was cool too. I got to try some virtual reality stuff. Nothing to do with Disney, and that was pretty impressive. But no, yeah, Avengers is a cool game too. It's just I'm not as crazy about it as I thought I would be after playing it, but because I feel like it's so like dated. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think as well with the Lego thing. I think because Lego Dimensions is kind of coming in and kind of taking all the push kind of thing. It almost feels like this could maybe be one of the last sort of traditional Lego games we get before it. But looking at E3 as a whole, that Disney Infinity just was a very strong presence and a very good way of getting out that information to everyone. And a big thank you for being there and sort of covering all of that information for us.
Yeah, thank you. No, yeah, I still have a couple other stories to put up, but most of the grunt work is done. I believe one of the directors of Big Hero 6 was at the Disney Infinity booth as well and checking it out, and I managed to get some pictures, so I should put those up as well.
Okay.
And I was able to catch JV also trying out Skylanders, and the guy was smiling, so you can tell he's a lover of video games. So cool stuff.
It makes sense to see what the other people are doing. I know that in business myself. You go and check out the your competition. It's part of being in business. You don't ignore them. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even think he sees them as competition. I think he sees them, because he has good friends there. So yeah, it's cool.
Okay, Travis, you want to add anything before we close off for the day?
Not for me. I mean, I saw enough to know that I'm going to be not having much time after you include Infinity 3.0 and Battlefront.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Lego Dimensions probably will not get purchased for a while. One, it's too expensive, and two, I just not going to have the time.
Yeah. Well, you're actually going to be heading off to the Disney Holiday Showcase on Wednesday, aren't you? That should hopefully see a little bit of Disney stuff in New York.
Yeah. Disney puts on a holiday showcase showing off the stuff from Disney consumer products, Disney Interactive, a whole bunch of other companies, Disney Worldwide Publishing, all the stuff that's coming up in the fall into the holiday season. And I will be there Wednesday morning. So hopefully I can report back Wednesday or Thursday. I do know that Disney Infinity will be there. What capacity they'll be there, I don't know. I'm looking forward to getting some hands-on with the games. I'm glad Abe can experience the kind of casual conversational chat that I usually have with JV at events like this. He got it on video. I suck at recording video, so my stuff is usually just random stuff. But if you guys have any questions that were not answered this past week at E3, and you would like to for me to try to get answers, if JV's there, if it's someone else, I honestly don't know who's going to be there. Just leave a comment below, and we'll make sure to try to get answers to questions that are not too evasive, or I know that are going to get the "why are you asking me this" look, which I've gotten in the past. So I kind of know what to not ask him, like what's coming, because they'll just tell us when they know. So.
Yeah. Right. Okay, I think that pretty much wraps up this week's show. Big thank you to Abe for joining me as usual, and also Travis there in New York. So big thank you for all of this. I'm going to let everyone head off, and that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Remember, you can check us out at thiskingdom.com. You can also subscribe, find us on Twitter, you can find us on Patreon, and all the other bits. Oh, and another little rub in the face of
I hate you, Abe, man. You smelling Darth Maul.
I just wanted to see if I smelt some force in there somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to give you some forced perspective.
Oh, that means it's really late at night for him and really early in the morning for me.
I'm so exhausted.
Okay, guys, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up, and we shall see you guys all in a later episode.
Laters.
Laters.